live show for our pod. I know you've done a few. So, Juck, how are you?
Fantastic. Good morning, fellas. Great to be here as always. We talk every day. Nice to bring it on the podcast once in a while.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us for our first ever live. And Dan, what's up, man? How's life in Tennessee?
Life in Tennessee is fantastic. You know, I started my day in honor of our last show together with a big bowl of oatmeal and some raisins. Complimented it with a little cottage cheese and pineapples to honor my old man. I'm locked and loaded, man. I'm all fueled up. I'm ready to go.
Here we go. That sounds like you're fueled up to do something, huh? Jeez, oh, Pete. All right. Well, we're here. We're live. Drop your comments in the chat. We're going to get to them as we go. Appreciate you guys joining us. It's time to wake up, I guess. So Rob Carter says, time to wake up, everybody. So thanks for dropping that in the chat, Rob. And yeah, drop your questions. We'll get to them. But first of all, I want to get you guys' impression of the Jaquez Carter commitment. So Juck, Dan and I talked on Tuesday. They were like, hey, this looks like it could happen. It looks like it, there's some real smoke to this. And then now here we are. And I know I'd be interested to get you guys' comms because I threw a couple out on Twitter. But tell us about Jaquez. I know you went live after his commitment, so give us your take. And Dan, I'd love to hear your take as well.
Yeah, so for the longest, it just didn't seem like this guy was really in the mix. And then when it became apparent that, yeah, he was a take, yeah, they really want him. That's when I first kind of started looking into him. I hadn't before because, to be honest, I was looking at the star ranking and just wasn't too excited to go do the homework. But boy, he's shorter. Obviously, that's his knock. That's why he's lower rated. But that film is good. This dude's legit. He's quick as heck. He's strong. This kid put up 27 reps on the 225 bench, which when I was at the Woody last week would have been second on the team right now. He just finished his junior year in high school. And he's already walking in with that kind of strength, elite quickness, and he needs to learn how to hand fight.
So Dan, what do you think? Jaquez Carter, where you at with this?
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page. He's one of those guys that you don't get excited about from a ranking perspective, but that's why I don't put a lot of credence into the rankings, right? I mean, who knows what kind of camps this kid went to? Who knows what kind of, love he gave to the recruiting services? All that stuff impacts the rankings. I look more at who the offers were from, and he had offers from all the big boys. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a great pickup. He's a little undersized, height wise. And, I remember when I was in high school, our biggest rival had like 5'8" and 5'9" defensive ends that the offensive linemen just couldn't even keep up with. Right. So, it's not the NFL. I understand it's big boy football, but I'm not worried about a couple inches on the height scale. The kid is strong as an ox and he'll get developed. And, I think he'll have an impact. I'm looking forward to him being on the team.
Awesome. Love it. So in the meantime, if you guys talk about Trey McNutt. So last night I listened to Steve Wiltfong, and now he's saying there's Texas A&M is getting into the mix and all these different things. And I don't really know what to make of that. And so my question is, could there be any way that he shocks the world and then ends up picking Ohio State tonight at 6 p.m.?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
And Texas, my opinion, Texas A&M is they've always been a player here because they've been offering him a lot of money for a while now, and as has Oregon. And obviously, he prefers to go to Oregon. But A&M is trying to make him an offer he can't refuse. That's the way I'm reading it. And, I've talked to some people who know a little something about what's going on there. I think he really wants to go to Oregon, and I think that's probably where he's going to end up. But the A&M smoke is real because, they got a lot of money and they can compete in a max one-on-one deal with Oregon. They can't go max with every player like Oregon's doing. every single guy they want, they're going max deal. Texas A&M budget's a little bit like us, but they want him. They're all in on him. They got the number 6, 7 class in the country, doing a heck of a job. And they are trying, to me, it seems, to set the precedent in year one with Mike Elko, just like they're doing in Alabama with Kalen DeBoer. They're coming really strong to set the precedent. Look, we're going to be a powerhouse recruiting organization, and they really want him bad. So I could definitely see a way that he ends up there, and we'll see. It's between those two, in my opinion. But Ohio State, absolutely zero, not one iota of indication throughout this entire thing that he was going to go to Ohio State. And anybody who's still holding out hope for that, I just can't wait till it's over, to be quite honest. I can't wait till it's over. We can stop talking. It's dominated the cycle. This whole saga has dominated the cycle outside of David Sanders for us, all of us, for a long time now. And I just can't wait for it to be done. But I get the feeling that even though he's going to pick somebody else this evening, we will still have folks holding out hope, and they're already pushing it. He still might come for that official during the season. Nothing's going to change. He doesn't want to go to Ohio State. He never did want to go to Ohio State, and that's fine. We got the best safety already in the class in Fahim Delane.
Perfect. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, there's always that thought for us Ohio guys that, you want him to love Ohio State the way that we do. And you want your Ohio guys to play for Ohio State. And unfortunately, I just don't see that. And so I guess I'm surprised by the Texas A&M thing, though. But they do have a lot of money. So Dan, take on this?
Wouldn't it be something, though, if he was just trolling all of us? I mean, doesn't he come off as the type of kid that would actually do that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's having an awful lot of fun with this thing. And I'm not saying he's committing to Ohio State, and I'm not saying that he will down the road, but it's just one of the most bizarre
Wait a minute,
recruitments.
You did say that. You did say that.
All right. I'm going to be the smartest man in the room then. I'm going to go ahead, die on that hill, and I think he's going to shock the world today. I don't know. I've gone on record, as Juck's alluded to, of saying that, he might, who knows? I mean, everything that Juck said is spot on, and that's what the tea leaves are saying, but there's just something, I don't know, man. I just think this kid loves the attention. The part that I don't necessarily agree with is that he's never wanted to go to Ohio State, because he grew up an Ohio State fan, didn't he? Is there something I don't know?
When I say never, I mean throughout this cycle, since this cycle's kind of kicked up. That's what I'm referring to when I say never. I don't mean his entire life. Yeah.
I don't expect him to pick Ohio State, but there's just something weird about it. Why is he saying he's still going to take an OV to us in the fall if he commits somewhere else?
Can I give you my theory on that? He has taken a lot of heat, and had a lot of pressure, as every Ohio kid does, to go to Ohio State from everybody they talk to around town, at school, etc. And I think that is simply a way to pacify people, to be honest. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't worry. I'll get there in the fall. And that's all I think that is.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be interesting once the season starts, because if he picks A&M, it's easy to get there during the season, fly there on a Saturday morning, but it'd be really, really hard to fly out to Oregon and catch any of their games during the season. So, with him being close to Columbus, could he be one of those guys that just comes to games for the sake of it, and who knows what happens after that? I don't know, but yeah, it's been the weirdest recruitment of this cycle for sure.
Absolutely. So on that topic, is there anybody that you could see? People love recruiting talk, and so I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what else, who else is there? Somebody that could surprise us, I guess. Beyond, we've talked about Justin Hill and those folks, is there anybody that, the Jamie Frenches of the world, that kind of stuff, while we're talking and thinking about this?
I mean, my buddy from LSU thinks that they're getting both French and Lockett. He actually sent that to me yesterday. I don't know. I mean, French's recruitment, he's another kid that seems to enjoy the spotlight, but I've been told, from pretty good source that he's been on the Ohio State campus a lot, way more than people realize, without any mention of it. And that was about a month ago that I was told that, but it was well after we were told we were out of it. Right. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think one kid that might come out as a surprise, or I think it would be a surprise if he commits to us, would be Petty. I mean, his sister's at Florida State, and the narrative is out there that, he's going to go where his sister is. Now, there was also a narrative that David Sanders' girlfriend was at UT, and he's made it pretty clear he has no girlfriend. So who knows what to believe with recruiting rumors. But that one picked up a little bit of smoke recently. Juck, have you heard that?
Yes, I have heard a little smoke. Petty to Ohio State, but the sister does in fact exist. I do know that. The sister at Florida State, that's a real one. The Sanders girlfriend, not a real one.
Well, we don't have to worry about him marrying his sister like we would Sanders' girlfriend, right?
Right.
They're from Georgia, not Alabama.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised, but really happy if we could get that turbo flip from Alabama. I would still like to see 3 backs in this class, particularly after we saw what happened with TC. Not that it affects this season, but it's just got me feeling like, man, we need some more talented running backs in the stable here. And I don't know, for some reason, it's when you go into thinking, all right, we're going to have to address it in the portal. It always makes me nervous when you have to address something in the portal. I don't like to be in that position to have to address it in the portal. But I really like the player when we talk about Turbo Rogers. I think he's kind of getting sold short as a bit of a gimmicky player. He's 190 pounds heading into his senior year. He's short, yeah, but this dude gets up to 200 pounds by the time he's on campus. We're talking just a little shorter. These dudes right now are weighing 205 to 210. That's kind of your prototype. I think he can be a lot more than the gimmicky dude that they're kind of pigeonholing him as, that we're hearing. I don't think he is quite that. When you watch his film, he runs between the tackles a lot. He seems to like contact, and the speed is absolutely elite. It's crazy. And that's a dude that we know Carlos Loughlin has a good relationship with. I have a hard time. I watched some footage of him on his Twitter talking about Alabama when he was younger, then when he finally got the offer, then when he committed, and he really loves Alabama. So I think it's a longer shot than some in the Ohio State media are kind of making it out to be. But if we could get him, that would really be exciting. And obviously we got the Malik Autry stuff. I don't know, guys. What are you thinking about Malik Autry? I think it's a longer shot than I thought it was a little earlier on. I felt when he first came out and said he's got he's going to make a decision in a week after his visit. It's like, what decision? There's nothing to decide. You're already committed. And at that point I was thinking like, okay, we got some serious momentum here. Maybe he does flip. And I don't know, the longer it's gone on and the more my excitement's worn off and the more I'm thinking logically, like, I don't know that this dude is going to want to leave. Another one of these guys, big dude from the South, rural Alabama. He's not even from the city. He's from the outskirts, Opelika, Alabama, which I was corrected on the pronunciation of that. I just have a hard time seeing him leave that situation, even though he clearly knows that Ohio State is the better environment. He's their number one player on the board at Auburn. He's their number one rated guy. They're going to come at him with everything they have to keep him home. What are you guys thinking about Malik Autry?
I mean, we talked about that on Tuesday's show, Chad. And I mean, what I said, if he doesn't flip, it's going to be the biggest troll job in the history of troll jobs. I mean, this kid is.
Oh, yes.
I mean, he's showing all the signs, right? It's like I joked about on Tuesday. He's got a boombox on his head and he's standing outside in front of the Woody, and playing In Your Eyes. He wants us to open the door for him. So, I mean, he's either having a whole hell of a lot of fun or he's really conflicted. But yeah, to pull him away, I love the fact that he's got the Block O already on his uniform.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little manifestation there for us, but I don't know. I mean, that would be something. The LJ haters would have to go back into their hole.
For sure, man. I mean, already it's kind of a bad year for them. I think this is a heck of a cycle, and I had a couple arguments about some rankings in the last couple days of these defensive linemen, which I don't know, man. I can't stand it. We got some serious quality players in that interior of the defensive line with Trajan Odom and Max Roy, and now Jaquez Carter. You just watch these guys. These are solid players, and in the past, we have held out for the big dogs like Malik Autry, and then tried to go get these guys after we couldn't get them. Tried to go get them late and come up empty-handed. I love the fact that we are now offering, getting in, taking these guys early, this caliber of guy, and still going big game hunting, not worrying about the numbers at the end of the class. Let it go up. It's a much better system that they're operating with this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers just from a roster management perspective, I mean, what did we lose? Did we lose like 30 kids in the portal?
22, but yeah, a lot. Ton.
So 22, we only brought in 6, and then we're going to be losing all these guys that came back. I mean, we need to restock the roster. So I know people are saying this class is going to end up at 28, 29. We're already at 24. I can see us going over 30. Obviously, the portal will come in play too, but the numbers, we need the numbers.
Yeah.
All right. So Tyler Kennedy on YouTube, he's extremely confident that we are getting David Sanders on August 17th. How are you guys feeling about Sanders? Dan, I know we've talked about that quite a bit on our shows. So, I'm trying to watch the Twitter chat and YouTube chat. I know I'm trying to kick in as much as I can here, but I'm flipping back and forth a lot. So Tyler Kennedy, David Sanders, what do we think?
Well, we heard that he's going on some visits here again. He's taking the tour again. I don't know if he's going to come back up to Ohio State. I think he's seen everything he needs to see. I think we're the clear leader at this point. And if I'm just, listen, Ohio State or the field right now, I'm taking the Buckeyes. And I don't know, 75% certainty for me. I just feel like he's seen everything he needs to see from Ohio State, the medical school. It all lines up. And it just feels right to me at this point. And I was very skeptical for a long time on this, but I've come full circle. I think it's going to be a big W, and I think we're going to have one heck of a celebration on our hands. August, is it the 17th?
Yeah, it's August 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my one concern with Sanders, and I feel, pretty much in line with what Juck just said, but my one concern is I've been told that we'll match any offer out there. I'm hoping we're not leaving this to an 11th hour match type of a situation if it comes down to money. I don't think it's all about money with him, but he's going to want to get paid for what he is. He's a franchise left tackle. The one thing that's just eerie to me is this Nebraska thing, man. I mean, he's only visited once. It was on Mother's Day weekend. You hear about the distance thing, but you hear what Oregon's doing with the distance thing and the travel thing. They're offering private jets straight into Eugene for, the Moores and the McNutts and all that other kind of stuff, and probably all their other players that, have a concern with it. But yeah, if you just, if you do the old Ben Franklin, right, you got the pluses and the minuses on the left, minuses on the right. I can't see how it doesn't land in our favor with everything that's important to him.
Mm.
I'm with you, Dan. The Nebraska thing is an interesting situation. And I know that a lot of people are laughing about it and dismissing it. But with a guy like this, I don't know. It's been kind of different. And it seems to me like if it happened, I don't think I'd be as shocked as a lot of people would. They're building something. They got Raiola. They got the money. And this is a different kind of cat. He's just a different dude. I could see it happening. I really could, but not this cycle. This one's ours. We got this.
It would defy logic. Matt Rule, though, man, I've said he would be on the short list for me if
too.
There was ever an opening at Ohio State. He's a damn good coach.
Yeah.
And players really, really like him. So you never know. I mean, Seton went to Colorado last year, right? Who expected that?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got Buckeye Sean 007 he says Knight is still an option. I assume Shai Mills Knight, guys. I know it's somebody that we've talked to, like the staff has talked to. I wouldn't say he's not an option. What do you guys think?
Well, he's still coming up for a visit, so that's a good thing. But, it's a 3-back class we got going on. He's been prioritized in a way that we haven't prioritized him by Auburn and Tennessee and Ole Miss. And Ole Miss just lost to Keelan Deere, the number 1 back in the country.
Yes.
And they have 0 backs in their class right now. So they also have a lot of money. They've lost a couple of guys. So it just doesn't feel to me like it's going to be his best option. But boy, I'd like to have him. I really like his stuff. Big bruiser. Yeah, he'd be a great 3rd back in this class for sure. I just don't see it happening.
Okay.
The fact, the fact that he's put off his announcement, I was under the impression he was really close to announcing, and now he's not announcing and he's scheduling a trip. So, and is that trip, is it this next week? Is it at the end of July?
Looks that way.
When they're allowed to come here? I mean, I don't even know if you can do an OV then or not, but I think you can do informal stuff.
Well, I do have something I want to add in on that for both of you. So last year, Ohio State did not do that big end of summer cookout. I think, and it was because I think it was either last year or the year before where we had the home game against Notre Dame, and so they wanted everybody. It must have been 2 years ago because of the recruits that were there, because LeBron was there. And so I haven't heard anything about them doing that end of summer, like cookout type thing. And I don't know if this has anything to do with some of the departures in the department, but like having them back on campus makes a ton of sense. And I just haven't seen them advertise anything to have players back on campus during that quote unquote quiet period for an end of summer blast. Have you heard anything, Juck? Dan?
I have not, and I don't think that they've made their mind up yet, to be honest. It seems like this has been kicked around for a while now. If they don't, I think it's a mistake. I think you got to, I get it. It's a pain sometimes to continue to do this. It's just something that I think is necessary. But every time you get a chance to get those guys on and show them a good time, it's a good deal. But maybe it does have something like you were saying there with something to do with Aaron Dunston, that this isn't rolling or things might not be as they normally would have been. But yeah, 2 years ago, they postponed it, like you said, because of the Notre Dame game, and they wanted everybody to come to that.
Yep.
I don't think there's an excuse this year. We don't have Notre Dame coming in or anybody else big early on in the season. So I hope that they do end up doing it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a big miss if they don't do it. I mean, any opportunity you get to get those kids back on campus, and even if it's just a defensive move, right? Just to prevent them from having an open window to go somewhere else, right? So yeah, I think that'd be a big miss if they don't do it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's being planned and being kept under the wraps, maybe.
Okay.
To try to prevent schools from coming in and offering a bunch of money to go on visits, like we know some schools are. I think it'd be a big miss. Every opportunity, man. Every opportunity. It's like last call at the bar, man. It's a numbers game. Just next. You got to get them on campus and get as many at-bats as you can.
All right. So our buddy Luke from the tailgate is in the chat, and hey Luke, appreciate you joining us, man. And if you guys don't know, the pod world is very small. A lot of us know each other. So he said, I think he's talking about Shai Mills Knight here. He said, I feel like everyone complains about height, or maybe that's Turbo. Same thing with Carter. Bigger guys are great, but height isn't the only important stat. Who is Dan, remind me, there was a running back that I think he played for Kansas State that was like 5'4".
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn, that's who it was. So yeah, I mean,
he was the lack of talent that Will Howard had when he played at Kansas State.
Okay,
he's one of the guys that was talentless that they surrounded Will with at Kansas State. NFL draft pick. 1,500-yard rusher. Lack of talent around Will.
Put that at the 6:53 mark that Dan is now already on Will Howard.
This wasn't on my show notes.
That wasn't a bust on Will. That was just a bust on the narrative, man. It's like, we're in the political season right now. There's a lot of narratives out there that just aren't true.
Man, this is why I should day drink when I do this with you guys. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I get it. I get that 100%. So, I'm curious too, and I want to get you guys' take on this because I've heard this said and it bothers me. And so, like, this isn't in our show notes, but it's about David Sanders, that offensive linemen are quote unquote mama's boys. So this came from, I'm not going to say where it came from, but another pod who has a pretty decent following, and that they like to stay close to home. And with NetJets and everything, I don't necessarily know that needs to be a big deal with David Sanders and getting up here, his parents getting up here for games and stuff. Do you buy that, the mama's boy thing with offensive linemen, either of you? I don't get it. It's weird to me, but
Chad, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know you were going to bring this up. I love busting narratives like this. They're so stupid to me. I can't stand them. This one, our 5 stars don't look like their 5 stars. I love going through stuff like this and breaking it down.
Okay.
This is total nonsense. Absolute. Like, how illogical does that sound to you? Because this guy is shaped this much and weighs this much and plays this position on a football team. He therefore is a mama's boy. When stuff like this gets said and then spreads and then becomes fact to a lot of football fans who regurgitate stuff like this, I can't stand it. Now, I do think it is true that there are a lot of linemen who end up sticking closer to home percentage-wise versus guys like wide receivers who, a lot of people point to that. Like, you look at the wide receivers and they'll leave. They'll go all over the country. Offensive linemen won't. I just think wide receivers are a totally different breed all in all. And there is something to that. And I think it has a lot to do with the attention that they get and the way that changes your personality over the course of your life. When you're someone who gets the ball a lot and gets celebrated, they're also the guys who grow up the best athletes in every sport. And you kind of, get to that position by being the best athlete on the field. And that has a lot to do with, your upbringing, the attention you get, everything that goes along with that. And you tend to become more outgoing and go out and want to see the world. But the offensive line mama's boy, just about as dumb to me as the our 5 stars don't look like their 5 stars, which in fact is all about one position and one position only, and that's the big nasties in the middle. The guys we don't get, the Malik Autry's that we simply don't have up here in our 5 stars. CJ Hicks and Sonny Styles definitely look like what their guys look like. I mean, that's just what it is.
Got it. So since we're talking about Sanders, Buckeye Sean 007, I pinned it up at the top, says Nebraska doesn't have a big time medical program that's important to Sanders. I can't comment on Nebraska's medical program, but I'll trust that is true. So I
had kidney stones in Lincoln one time, and I had to go to a CVS Minute Clinic to get treated. So I'll tell you right now, their medical program sucks. In case the Sanders family is listening.
All right. Yeah. I don't think they're listening. At least they're not commenting as of yet. So, I get it. I get it. So we have a fun topic for today, guys, and those of you in the chat. Let me get to this. So Ohio 7715. What's up, dude? Like, he's listens to our show all the time. Always has great comments for us. Huh?
That's Devin.
Oh, it's Devin. Hey, Devin.
Juck outed him on one of his live shows. He kicked him out, and then he had to come back in under his real name, and he's now in witness protection again.
Well, that explains everything.
Did I out him? I didn't even know that.
Chris Henry Jr. committed during the barbecue last year. He's right. They were on campus, and he was there with his parents and godfather and everything, and he did commit last year, so you're right about that. I don't necessarily know that doing a barbecue is a necessity, but I think it makes a lot of sense to get kids back on campus, especially in the warm weather. I'm just saying, like if you're bringing a kid up from the South and you feed them some good barbecue and it's nice and warm outside at the end of July, first part of August here in Ohio, not the worst thing in the world. Okay. I promised I wouldn't talk very much, but I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Talk it up.
Yeah, man. All right.
Time clock. I got however long we go.
Yeah, same. I blocked off, some time today. So we were going to do this thing, and Juck, I know you did a pre-recording of it, and then all of a sudden, another pod did it, and Dan and I have suspicions that they like have cameras in our house or something. But pick 5 guys, both of you, pick 5 guys from the Urban Meyer era that would guarantee a championship if you added them to this year's team. That means the entire Urban Meyer tenure, 2012 to 2019. Guys, I'll still take your questions. You can also comment in the chat on who you would pick. And Dan, I put this in our notes because Juck is our guest, even though we're all friends. I'm going to let him go first. And here's the thing. You cannot pick the same ones.
All right, are we going to do this like a snake draft? So he gets to pick one, and then
one and one, one and one, one and one.
Or we're just going to go 1 and 1. Hey, real quick though, can they have overlapped with Ryan as the head coach, or is it only up until Urban's last year and they were done at that point?
They can overlap for when Urban's last year when Ryan coached 4 games when he was suspended.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't count. Okay, cool.
No.
All right. Who's your first guy, Juck?
I'm trying to. So this is tough, right? Because there's only a couple areas you can upgrade at this team, right? The current roster. So you definitely want to upgrade the offensive line where you can. You definitely want to upgrade quarterback. And then you've got the superstars that are going to make a difference regardless. And this is going to be interesting how this breaks out. But I think that I'm going to have to go with Haskins to start it off.
Ooh, I am shocked. Okay. All right, Dan, you're up, man.
I'm going Taylor Decker.
There it is. There it is.
No, I'm not. I didn't even take my full time on the clock.
No. Yeah, that would have been so. Dan, you took mine. Jack, back to you, and I'll tell you who my 5 were. But
what do you mean? You're playing too?
All right, fine. So I'm gonna just tell you how where I landed on this is I was gonna take Zeke because I know that our running back class is stacked, but that run that he went on in the 2013-2014 playoffs to bring the championship home, like Trey, for all of the good that he does, it can be injury prone. We don't know what we're going to get out of Q other than like he's had a ton of carries and did really well in the SEC. I know what I get in Zeke. So I'm taking Zeke.
I understand where you're coming from. And this is part of the areas where I struggled in, areas where we have a great, really good situation going. But then you got a guy like Zeke who's just like, he is what he is. You know what I mean? So that's what makes this kind of interesting. So for my second pick, I am going to have to an area of need that I think we can get a serious upgrade immediately would be linebacker with Shazier. So I'm going to take Ryan Shazier for my second pick.
All right. Good one. Dan, what do you got, man?
I'm going to go with a position that Juck already talked about, but I just think this would be a lot of fun in this offense with Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go a healthy Braxton Miller at quarterback.
Oh, all right.
I mean, this offense, it would be the prettiest girl at the ball.
Yeah.
With him behind center. We used to say under center. Now it's behind center, right?
Yeah, true. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not even going to take my full time on the clock. It's Malik Hooker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Malik Hooker. Sorry, guys. Like I know we have players at these positions. Don't get me wrong. But again, Lathan Ransom kind of coming off an injury. I know we have good safety play, but the way that he ball hawked and controlled the secondary, give it to me all day. I mean, if I can, no offense to Lathan Ransom, but if I can drop Malik Hooker in next to Caleb Downs, you better believe I'm going to do it. So there you go.
Yeah, it's an area where you can sneak up and grab something that this team doesn't quite have, and turnovers have been an issue. We haven't gotten a lot of turnovers, and a lot of folks are irritated with that. You just solved it, and that's a good pick. I like that.
Hey, real quick, Chris Sowers in the comments, he's asking, wasn't Braxton a Trussell guy? Yeah, he was recruited by Trussell, but his freshman year was that year under Fickle, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, and then he played that 2012 undefeated season. He was the guy for Urban. And then he got, he even played 13, right? And then he got hurt going into 14.
Yep. He got hurt. 14. Yeah. Brack's definitely eligible for this. Who's up? Dan, you up?
I think you're up.
I'm up?
Yep.
Okay. I'm up. All right. I just, I still have a needed offensive line, but I can't let anybody get Chase Young. I have to take Chase Young, the versatility, the dominance, the disruption. And I just think that it's a guy that if he's out there on the field at any time can take over a football game. And, and that's the part of the balancing where you need upgrades and then that one dominant NFL player that can just take things over. So I'm going to go with Chase Young here.
Yep, that would have been mine.
I'm going need. I'm going Jeff Hireman.
Okay. Gosh, you guys are killing me, man. All right. So both of those were like my next two. So, gosh, you're going to make this really hard for me. I'm going to go. I don't really want to do this yet, but I'm going to do Jalen Marshall. And I'm bringing Jalen Marshall in because he's a game changer in the return game. And it's sorely lacking. And you both of you know that the momentum that can be swung if somebody's trying to pin you in and they're trying to play defense and somebody breaks either a large return or returns a kickoff for a touchdown. So I'm going Jalen Marshall, and I know that's a weird one, but that I feel like we need some special teams in there. So back to you, Juck. Hopefully I didn't take yours.
No, he wasn't even on my radar, to be honest. It hadn't crossed my mind. Not that I didn't like him. It just hadn't. I like the strategy. It's an area that we haven't done much with in a long time.
I'm a special teams nerd. I'm a special teams nerd.
Are we going to actually let him return kicks, though?
Yes.
I think
that's the thing.
I've got a theory on this. Can we talk about this for a second?
Yeah, let's
sure.
take a
Go
break
for
and
it.
talk about it.
I think Ryan is such an. I mean this with the utmost respect. I think he's such an offensive whore. He's unwilling to give up plays, and he tells these guys to either fair catch it or